I'm calling the Finance Committee meeting for April 21st, 2025 to order. And we have several resolutions to go over. First one is temporary resolution 38-25, a resolution to authorize the Service Safety Director to enter into an agreement for engineering services associated with flow monitoring to be conducted within the River Valley Highlands subdivision sanitary sewer system. Coming from water, wastewater pollution, Councilman Wing.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You may remember this piece. It was briefly discussed last week, coming up this week. This is for the sanitary sewer flow monitoring study in River Valley Highlands. There have been some issues up there, which is why we need the study. The legislation in front of us authorizes $250,000 for the study. If we have enough rain events, it shouldn't take that much, but that there is some contingency built in case we don't have very many rain events. And again, we've discussed this before, but if Curtis or Stephen wanted to add anything or answer any questions, you're welcome to come up.
Stephen loves to talk.
Good evening, everybody. Well, Councilman Wing did a nice job. I don't know that I have much really to add. I guess I'd come up and answer any questions if there might be any from any council members tonight.
Any questions of council? No?
All right. Never thought I'd say this, but let's hope it rains. All right. That'll be 3 readings, and I have Councilwoman Teener as my second.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
You're probably, or Denise here tonight? Okay. I wasn't sure who was going to do which one. So anyway, now we have temporary resolution 39-25, a resolution to increase receipts, appropriate funds in the wastewater reserve fund 6029, amend the certificate of other sources and appropriations with the county auditor, and authorize payment of bills with then and now certificates for the water development loan for the solid handling facility upgrade project. Again, coming from water, wastewater. Councilman Wing.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Most of you probably remember we approved the solids handling facility on Lawrence Street several meetings ago. This just appropriates the money for that project from the wastewater reserve fund, and the OWDA application was approved, and I believe work is progressing on schedule. So Denise, you're welcome to, whoever's welcome to come up and speak on this and correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yes, we have signed contracts with Wright Brothers, who is also doing the disinfection project at the South Water Plant, so we're very familiar with them. And all this does is it's bookkeeping for the auditor. When OWDA makes a payment, we have to put it on our books, and this takes care of it.
Okay. All right. Any questions? This will be 3 readings, and I have Councilman Ailes as my second.
All righty, thank you. Now we have temporary ordinance 40-25, a resolution to increase receipts, appropriate funds in the Stormwater Utility Reserve Fund 6019, amend the certificate of other sources and appropriations with then and now certificates for the Ohio Water Development Loan for the East Main Street Sewer Separation Project, again coming from water, wastewater pollution.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is another project we've discussed several times. This piece appropriates the money from the Stormwater Utility Reserve Fund for the East Main Street Sewer Separation Project, which is already underway. Any of you who are on the east side of town have probably seen that already. So,
I don't have anything to add.
okay. I have Councilwoman Teener's my second, and 3 readings.
Perfect, thank you. Temporary resolution 41-25, a resolution to authorize the Service Safety Director to dispense with competitive bidding due to a sole source provider for membrane replacement at the Upper Hocking Water Pollution Control Facility and wastewater pollution control committee.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now that phase 2 of Upper Hocking is getting started, it is time to replace the membranes in phase 1. These membranes are about 15 years old, I believe, and were originally produced by Memcor. I think they're the only company that produces those membranes, and so that's the need for the sole source legislation. anything to add on that, or?
Just answer any questions.
Okay, questions?
Good.
Okay. I have Councilman Ailes as my second and 3 readings.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to both you and Stephen. Okay, temporary resolution 42-25, a resolution to authorize the city of Lancaster to apply for funding from Ohio Department of Development for CHIP program funds coming from Economic Development Committee. Councilman Hoop,
Yes,
hope I make it through my voice.
you're good. Yes, this just allows us to apply for the CHIP program for up to $250,000. I think Chaslin was going to come up to give us a little more information.
Hi, good evening. So the 2026 cycle of the CHIP, the Community Housing Impact and Preservation Grant, is projected to be released in May. This request is just for approval to apply for this next round of funding. Just a quick little background. The typical award amount is $250,000, and this allows us to renovate 5 or 6 houses. This is a full renovation grant, which means that we fix whatever we find that needs to be fixed up to the $85,000 cap. The grant cycle runs, it should be awarded by December 1st of this year, and then it will run till April 30th of 2028. And that's when we have to have that fully closed out. All right, any questions?
I don't think there are any questions. So Mrs. Kreitz is going to be my second, and we went 3 readings.
Very good. Thank you. Temporary resolution 44-25, a resolution to appropriate from the unencumbered balance, amend the certificate with the county auditor in the Cemetery Fund 2007 to authorize the Service Safety Director to purchase a replacement vehicle for use by the Cemetery Department Supervisor and to declare an emergency. Coming from Public Works Committee, Councilman Davis.
Chairman Wolfinger, we'll have to go back to 4325.
Oh, did I skip over that?
Yeah.
I apologize for that.
But we can do 44.
We'll do 44 and we'll come back. Thank you.
I think you should have to read it all over again. Anyway, so we'd had a vehicle that got in a bit of an accident, was not our fault, and so this is we've got money from the other insurance company that. Tim, you want to come up and answer any questions? Really, to look at it, as old as the vehicle was, and then we've got money, it is, to me, does make sense to go ahead. Usually I'm not okay with it, but if we would buy something used, then we would have to get a warranty, and that'd cost more money, so this way it's under warranty, so.
Yes, this is the legislation I warned you about last council meeting. So basically, they did total it out. They're going to give us a little over $19,000 for the old truck, which had 77,000 miles on it at the time. And then we've got a new truck we have a quote for sitting on the lot at Helm. I think it's Helm, or Hugh White, sorry. And it's ready to go, so, but the quote's only good through May 3rd, which is before the next council meeting, so that's why you'll see one reading request. Any other questions?
So if we bought the used one and it had a warranty, it wouldn't even cover it all anyway. A lot of the stuff wouldn't even be covered.
The used warranties, typically, nobody warranties a truck that's older than 3 years. But up within that first 3 years, they don't come with a standard warranty because they're used. So depending on what you want to cover, you pay per what you want to cover. So typically, like a bumper to bumper would be a 3-year bumper to bumper, but you're going to start at $3,500 and up, depending on all you want to include in this. The new truck does come with bumper to bumper 3-year warranty. It's got a 5-year warranty on the drivetrain, which is all included in the price. And there's 3 other warranty packages that are all lumped into that too, depending on electrical, that kind of stuff. So where we went out and we did get pricing on 10 used vehicles, and the average cost across those 10 is $28,000. Our thought was $45,000 for the new one, plus the 19 we're going to get, puts us about $26,000. and it's ready to roll, except for we do need a toolbox in the back of the one and then a stroke kit for the top, because we do lead funeral processions in and out of the cemetery, so.
I have a question. What are the additional costs that will be?
The stroke kit,
Well, whatever was needed.
I've got a not to exceed $510 in there because I'm asking for $46,000. So we can get a toolbox relatively cheaply, and we've got some light kits that are in stock. If we need an extra power pack or anything for those, they're not that expensive. So
Okay, thank you.
my mechanics are told not to go over $510.
Thank you.
Did the toolbox get damaged in the accident?
The other truck didn't have a toolbox. It actually had a bed cover, which was a solid thing that kind of lifted up.
Okay, so you can't transfer anything over to this new
No,
one?
it- on top of that, it's two different makes of vehicle. We're
Okay. Oh,
getting rid of a
that's true.
Dodge and going with a Chevy, so
Okay.
they're not transferable anyway.
Everything else?
Okay.
And Christina Kreitz, please, this is my
And
second
you're asking for suspension?
suspension tonight. Yeah,
Any
so you can get it.
objections? No? Go ahead. Thank you.
Thanks.
And temporary resolution 43-25, a resolution to amend the certificate of appropriations for the county auditor, appropriate from the unencumbered balance, increase receipts, complete fund transfer in CDBG loan repay revolving credit fund 2075 and in the community development block grant fund 2073 and declare an emergency, coming from Economic Development Committee and Councilman Hoop.
Yes, thank you. This is just to transfer some money, and Chaslyn's going to come up with more information.
Okay, so HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, requires recipients to use program income before spending the grant funds. So the program income is generated through the liens put on the projects. Program income has to be used for a like purpose, so it has to go back into rehab because that's how the income was created. For the past couple of years, Housing and Neighborhoods, formerly Community Development, has been waiting on HUD to approve a reconciliation for the program income. These funds could not be used until it was fully reconciled, and that was finally approved last December. Our request is to transfer $25,000 from the CDBG Loan Repay Revolving Account Fund 2075 to the Community Development Block Grant Fund 2073 in order to use these funds in alignment with the requirements outlined by HUD. Okay, any questions?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wing is going to be my second, and that can go 3 readings.
Okay, thank you. Finally, we have temporary resolution 45-25, a resolution to appropriate from the unencumbered balance in the general fund 1001, increase receipts, appropriate from the unencumbered balance in the health insurance management fund 7022, and amend certificate appropriations with the county auditor coming from Administrative Services Committee, and that would be Councilman Lunkenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Prior to the collective bargaining agreements that the city reached with its employees several years ago, the city had offered self-insured life insurance policies to the employees. And since then, the city's never had more than 1 claim a year. And so we budgeted $10,000 this year, and we've had 4 claims come in this year. That $10,000 will cover for 3 of them, but not the 4th. So we're asking for $11,000 additional to cover for the 4th and any potential additional claims that might hit this year. So with this resolution, we're just asking to appropriate the additional $11,000.
Okay.
And Councilman Bizcheck will be my second. 3 readings.
3 readings. Thank you. That's it for the resolutions for tonight. We have no ordinances to come before for first reading. We'll move on to other discussion items. First would be departmental updates. Yes.
Since there are no other departmental updates, I will just go ahead and update that our City Hall renovation project, that bid should be going live later this week. We have, the legal notice needed to be into the Gazette by Wednesday at noon, so our engineer's office is handling that, working with our architect to get that into the Gazette for the public notice, and then it will go live on Friday. So as soon as that's live, I will keep you all posted.
Thank you. Any questions of council? Thank you very much for the update. Any other updates? Okay, moving on to tonight's meeting prep, President Porter.
Thank you, Chairman Wolfinger. For tonight's regular meeting, we have 17 resolutions on the agenda, along with 6 ordinances. We also have a public hearing regarding the Powers Run TIF.
Thank you. Any other items for Finance Committee, for anybody wants to bring up? I see no hands. We will not have an executive session tonight, and I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned, and it is 6:16, almost an hour less than last meeting.
That's a record for a Finance Committee agenda. So thank you. We will convene the regular meeting of Lancaster City Council promptly at 6:30.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our 2 locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Hi, I'm Karen Martin with After School Programs of Lancaster. We're here to provide programs and services to support educational, social, and cultural opportunities for our students. This month, we're thrilled that Buckeye Toyota and Buckeye Honda have reached out once again to offer their support through their Buckeye Cares program by making a generous donation with each car sold this month. Join me and many others in supporting local business, and you might just find yourself saying, "That's how I Buckeye."
God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and finally, the wisdom to know the difference. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I call the April 21st, 2025 Lancaster City Council meeting to order. Would please call the roll?
Mr. Ailes.
Here.
Mr. Bizjak.
Here.
Mrs. Kreitz.
Here.
Mrs. Hoop.
Here.
Mr. Luchtenberg.
Here.
Mr. Schoonover.
Here.
Mr. Solly.
Here.
Ms. Tiener.
Here.
Mr. Wing.
Here.
And Mr. Wolfinger.
Let the record reflect that all 10 members of Lancaster City Council are here this evening. Just a gentle reminder for everybody to make sure that your microphone is on and within range. Reading and disposing of the journal.
Regular meeting minutes dated April 7th, 2025.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the journal.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the journal. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. We'll now move on to the reports of city officials.
I have 3. Email dated April 14th, 2025 regarding East Main Street Sewer Separation Project submitted by Stormwater Manager Stephen Wellstead and forwarded by Mayor McDaniel. Email dated April 16, 2025, cemetery pickup truck replacement submitted by Superintendent Tim Dietz. Email dated April 17, 2025, Zane Alley sewer replacement information update submitted by Service Safety Director Woody.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the reports of city officials.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the reports of city officials. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Now move on to communications.
I do have 1 email dated April 10th, 2025 regarding Blue Label annexation public hearing submitted by David Hodge with Underhill and Hodge LLC.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the communications.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the communications. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Thank you. We have no special presentations or awards this evening, no petitions or memorials. At this time, we have reached the section of our agenda, which is our permission of voters and taxpayers to address council. This is separate and aside from the public hearing on the Powers Run TIF. Our rules are such that you can address council for 3 minutes. You would come to the podium, sign the green clipboard with your name and address, say your name and address, and you would have 3 minutes to address council. Is there anybody here who wishes to address city council this evening? We do see an individual coming to the podium. Ma'am, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, council members. This Saturday, if you want to have your faith in humanity restored, I invite you to come downtown for Destination Downtown Lancaster's annual Downtown Cleanup Day. We have 250 volunteers signed up, and it is a wonderful time to connect with your neighbors, your constituents, other community leaders, business leaders, and make downtown sparkle a little bit more. If you're unable to come down and join us at 8:30 in the morning on Saturday at the gazebo and then spread throughout the downtown, please feel free to host a pop-up cleanup day in your own neighborhoods, in your own wards. I highly encourage it. It's a great way to meet your constituents, meet your neighbors, and have some time to build community. I hope that we see you all there, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I will tell you, thanks to Brad Hutchinson, you do get a free lunch out of it, and thanks to Destination Downtown Lancaster, a pretty super cool tie-dye t-shirt. So we hope to see you there.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to? Here we go. We have another individual.
This guy.
You might just put put some dashes under your dress.
Good evening, council. My name is Brian Everett. I reside at 201 South High Street, and I wanted to touch base briefly with a topic I speak frequently on, which is pedestrian safety. As many of you are aware, recently there was an individual that was hit by a car on East Main Street. That individual is suffering significant injuries and currently remains in the hospital. and certainly hope that he does recover. But I think it speaks to the condition of our infrastructure and transportation network in our city that walking to get ice cream can potentially result in heinous injuries or death. And that's not where we should be, and that's not where we have to be. Were our infrastructure properly designed, it would be physically impossible for vehicles to reach the speeds necessary to jump the curbs, to get past barriers, and to hit a pedestrian like that. And we very frequently see buildings, pedestrians, other vehicles, we're talking about replacing one here, get hit by cars that should not be able to go as fast as they're going. I would encourage council to not only continue to look at this, but also to take some action. And action doesn't necessarily have to cost money. Action can be incorporated through programs we already have in place or through low cost or no cost. Some examples would be visually narrowing, which is a fancy term for using paint to make drivers think they should go slower. We have a tree commission that is seeking to continue to place or replace trees. Those can be installed in tree lawns that are then barriers to prevent vehicles from getting onto those sidewalks where pedestrians are walking, people are pushing strollers, etc. You can do daylighting, which is intersections, pylons, and paint that prevent cars from parking past the no parking signs and make it so that pedestrians do not have to walk out into the road to see if it is clear to cross. There's a lot of, again, low cost, no cost, or already in place systems that can be used to address this so that all of our community is safe. And statistics show that when pedestrians and bicycle riders and other people using multimodal transit are safer, people in vehicles are also safer. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to address City Council this evening? Seeing none, we thank you for coming to tonight's meeting. We have any reports of standing committees?
I have Finance Committee meeting minutes dated April 7, 2025, submitted by Mr. Wolfinger. Administrative Service Committee agenda dated April 16, 2025, submitted by Mr. Luchtenberg. Finance Committee agenda dated April 18, 2025, submitted by Mr. Wolfinger. And finally, Water Pollution Committee meeting minutes dated April 20th, 2025, submitted by Mr. Wing.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the reports of standing committees.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file with the reports of standing committees. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Reports of special committees.
There are no reports of special committees to present this evening.
Thank you. We have now reached the time in our meeting for the public hearing regarding the Powers Run TIF. The rules associated with the public hearing are such that if you're speaking as a proponent, you will come to the podium, sign in, give your name and address as a proponent in favor of the TIF, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Then after all of the proponents have had their opportunity to speak, we will hear from the opponents to the Powers Run TIF. Same rules apply. Sign in, 3 minutes to speak for each speaker. And then finally, at the end, there's a rebuttal. Rebuttal can come from the proponents only those who have chosen to speak the first time into tonight's meeting. So if there's any questions about that as we go on, we will be happy to clarify that for you. First up in the hearing, we will be hearing from Law Director Hall.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here to represent the city, and this is a TIF that is put forward by the city in exchange, and TIF stands for Tax Increment Financing, for anybody who wasn't aware. And this is a TIF that the city has arranged to give to the developer who is going to put in 333 single-family homes on approximately 128 acres. The expenses for all of the public utilities, the roads, all of that are going to be about $21 million. And obviously, the city of Lancaster doesn't have $21 million to put into infrastructure like that. And so the developer is going to pay that, and then the TIF is going to pay them back. And the TIF will pay them back over a period of 30 years. It's not going to pay back the entire $21 million. Whatever the developer gets, the developer gets. But at that point, we will have 333 new single-family homes, which the city of Lancaster is in desperate need of. So just a quick explanation of the notice that you all received. It should have basically two different areas on it. First of all, there was an area shaded in green, and that is the actual TIF district itself. And then there's a square around that, or a rectangle rather, sometimes around that area shaded in green, and that's what's called the incentive overlay. Anybody in that incentive overlay, your property is not actually going to be affected because parcels, you know, in the state of Ohio can have some really weird shapes. The state legislature requires us to draw essentially a shape around that district that can be verified, right? So the best way for them to do that is just a box or a rectangle. And so that's why some of your properties might look like they're going to be affected by this, but the only properties that will be affected in any way are those that are shaded in green, and those belong to the developer. Currently, that's Mark and Beth Powers who own the property, but they do have a contract with Four Star, who is going to be developing that land for those single-family residences that I told you about. If anybody has any questions, you know, while you're up here, feel free to get those out, and when I come back, I will try to address those for you. Thanks.
Thank you, Law Director Hall. So, do we have anybody here who wishes to speak as a proponent for the Powers Run TIF, meaning speak in favor? Seeing none, we thank you for coming. Next, we move on to opponents. Is there anybody here who would like to speak out against the proposed TIF? Seeing none, we thank you for coming, and we're going to close this public hearing at this time. Thank you for your attendance at tonight's meeting. We will now move on to the reading of resolutions, beginning with the third reading of resolutions. Temporary Resolution 28-25.
A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a contract with the Fairfield County General Health District for public health services. This is through Administrative Services Committee with Mr. Luchtenberg and Mr. Wilfinger.
Councilmember Luchtenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record resolution temporarily numbered 28-25.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 28-25. Any discussion, Councilmember Luchtenberg?
Thank you. Yes, this is just a year-to-year contract that the city writes with the Fairfield County Health Department to provide their services to Lancaster. And this one is for 2026 and represents just a 2% increase from 2025.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Excuse me. Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjak?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop? Mr. Luchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Sully?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Temporary Resolution 28-25 passes 10-0. Temporary Resolution 29-25.
A resolution to appropriate from the unencumbered balance and amend the certificate of appropriations with the county auditor in the Timber Top TIF Fund 3060. This is through Finance Committee, Mr. Wolfinger and Mr. Ailes.
Councilmember Wolfinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to make a motion that City Council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 29-25.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 29-25. Any discussion, Councilmember Wolfinger?
Yes, this is a resolution that will appropriate $76,000 and some change that was carried over from 2024 that needs to be reappropriated this year so it could be used.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjak?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Temporary Resolution 29-25 passes 10-0. Temporary Resolution 30-25.
A resolution of the City of Lancaster to approve the Fairfield County E-911 final plan. This is through Safety Committee, Mr. Bizjak and Ms. Teener.
Councilmember Bizjak.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record resolution temporarily numbered 30-25.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 30-25. Councilmember Bizjak, discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, this legislation seeks to approve the Fairfield County E-911 plan. This is a county-wide plan that all municipalities are also required to approve. This is to help with getting better technologies within the county, specifically addressing the need for better response times. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjak?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Temporary Resolution 30-25 passes 10-0. We will now move on to the second reading of resolutions, beginning with Temporary Resolution 32-25.
A resolution to authorize all actions necessary to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council 2025 Energized Community Grants Funds. This is through Administrative Service Committee, Mr. Leuchtenberg and Mr. Wolfinger.
Councilmember Leuchtenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that council suspend its rules and waive the third reading of resolution temporarily numbered 32-25.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and waive the third reading of Temporary Resolution 32-25. Any discussion, Councilmember?
Yes, this is, the city has replaced aging light fixtures throughout City Hall with new energy-efficient lights, and this resolution just allows the city to enter into the 2025 NOPEC Energized Community Grant Agreement to reimburse the city for those lights.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion to suspend? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjak?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Motion to suspend the rules and waive the third reading of Temporary Resolution 32-25 passes 10-0. Councilmember Leuchtenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record resolution temporarily numbered 32-25.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record Temporary Resolution 32-25. Any further discussion, Councilmember Leuchtenberg?
Not at this time. No.
Thank you. Any further discussion from council members? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjak?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Motion to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record Temporary Resolution 32-25 passes 10-0. We'll now move on to Temporary Resolution 33-25.
A resolution to amend Permanent Resolution 70-22, authorizing the Service Safety Director to enter into an engineering agreement for various construction, administration, and inspection services during the North Water Treatment Plant Replacement Project, and to increase estimated receipts, appropriate from the unencumbered balance, and amend their certificate of other sources in appropriations with the county auditor and the Water Utility Reserve Fund 6027. This is through water pollution with Mr. Wing and Mr. Ailes.
Councilmember Wing.
This will be the second of three readings.
Second of three readings on Temporary Resolution 33-25. Temporary Resolution 34-25.
A resolution to authorize the Service Safety Director to enter into an agreement for engineering services on the Frederick Street Sewer Separation Project. Again, this is through Water Pollution Committee with Mr. Wing and Ms. Teener.
Councilmember Wing.
This is also the second of three readings.
Second of three readings on Temporary Resolution 34-25. temporary resolution 35-25.
A resolution authorizing the Service Safety Director to dispense with competitive bidding and enter into a contract with the Rosenboro, South Dakota LLC for the purchase of the 2026 Rosenboro Commander pumper truck for the use by the Lancaster Fire Department to appropriate funds and to declare an emergency. This is through Safety Committee, Mr. Bizjack and Mr. Sully.
Councilmember Bizjack.
Second of three readings. Thank you, Mr. President.
Second of three readings on temporary resolution 35-25. Temporary resolution 36-25.
A resolution to appropriate from the unencumbered balance, amend the certificate of appropriations with the county auditor and the general fund 1001 to reimburse the Lancaster Port Authority for paying its portional share for the Fairfield County Housing Study. This is through Finance Committee with Mr. Wolfinger and Mr. Ailes.
Councilmember Wolfinger.
Second of three readings.
Second of three readings on temporary resolution 36-25. Temporary resolution 37-25.
A resolution to amend the certificate of appropriations with the Fairfield County Auditor and appropriate from the unencumbered balance in the general fund 1001 for the addition of 2 deputy clerk positions within the municipal clerk's office and to declare an emergency. Again, this is through Finance Committee with Mr. Wolfinger and Mr. Sully.
Councilmember Wolfinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to make a motion to replace temporary resolution 37-25 with temporary resolution 37-25 star.
Second. Just one quick. Law Director Hall, do we just need to recite that was given in writing to the clerk prior to the meeting?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and second to replace temporary resolution 37-25 with temporary resolution 37-25 star as presented to the clerk in writing before tonight's meeting. Is there any discussion, Councilmember Wolfinger?
There has been a slight adjustment we're going to have 1 FTE versus 2 FTEs, which will change the dollar amount, and it will be for 8 months to the end of the year.
Okay, thank you. So please call the roll on the motion to replace.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjack?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Luchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Sully?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Motion to replace temporary resolution 37-25 with temporary resolution 37-25 star passes 10-0. Councilmember Wolfinger.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that council suspends its rules and waives the third reading of temporary resolution 37-25.
Second.
We have a motion and second to suspend the rules and waive the third reading of temporary resolution 37-25 star. Any discussion?
No further.
Thank you. Please call the, yes, Mr. Mayor.
For council's information, I'd like to add a couple things on this. So I met with Valita Sloan, our clerk of courts, regarding this ordinance request to add employees. I just want you to know that she was willing to change her request and go with 1 employee to see what kind of burden the office is going to have. She's discussed this with her staff. I just want to I assured her that we would revisit this if it ends up being the workload she anticipated originally. We're hopeful that it won't be. We're hopeful that 1 employee will work. And she was willing to do that and work with us so that we could make this happen, get the help she needs. We know this is a huge burden, an unfunded mandate from the state, a law change that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but yet it did change, and now her office is tasked with complying with the law that went into effect earlier this month. So this 1 person is going to be helpful, but I just wanted council to know that if that burden is so much that she might come back for help later this year, early next year. But I told her we would take her information and we would look at it at that time if it happens. I'm hopeful, she's hopeful that 1 will. So I just wanted to put that on the record.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any further discussions on the motion to suspend?
I understand the situation that we're in. This is essentially an unfunded mandate from the state. I do think it's fair that we maybe ask the county for some help with this. I mean, I understand this is the middle of the year. They don't like to, add to their budget in the middle of the year, but it's not in our budget either.
I'll be happy to reach out to them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion to suspend? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjack?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Motion to suspend the rules and waive the third reading of temporary resolution 37-25 star passes 10-0. Now, back to Council.
One more time?
Yes, Councilmember Wolfinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon, the written record, temporary resolution 37-25.
Second.
37-25 star.
Star, thank you.
Yep.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record, temporary resolution 37-25 star. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjack?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Motion to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record, temporary resolution 37-25 star passes 10-0. We will now move on to the first reading of resolutions, beginning with temporary resolution 38-25.
A resolution to authorize the Service Safety Director to enter into an agreement for engineering services associated with flow monitoring to be conducted within the River Valley Highlands Subdivision Sanitary Sewer System. This is through Water Pollution Committee, Mr. Wing and Ms. Steiner.
Councilmember Wing.
This is the first of three readings.
First of three readings on temporary resolution 38-25. Temporary resolution 39-25.
A resolution to increase receipt of appropriated funds in the wastewater Reserve Fund 6029, amend the certificate of other sources and appropriations with the county auditor, and authorize payments of bills and then and now certificates for the Ohio Water Development Loan for the Solids Handling Facility Upgrade Project. This is through Water Pollution Committee, Mr. Wing and Mr. Ailes.
Councilmember Wing.
First of three readings.
First of three readings on temporary resolution 39-25. Temporary resolution 40-25.
A resolution to increase receipts, appropriate funds in the Storm Utility Reserve Fund 6019, appropriate the certificate of other sources and appropriations with the county auditor, and authorize payments of bills with then and now certificates for the Ohio Water Development Loan for the East Main Street Sewer Separation Project. This is through Water Pollution Committee, Mr. Wing and Ms. Teener.
Councilmember Wing.
First of three readings.
First of three readings on temporary resolution 40-25. Temporary resolution 41-25.
A resolution to authorize the Service Safety Director to dispense with competitive bidding due to a sole source provider for membrane replacement for the Upper Hocking Water Pollution Control Facility. Again, this is through Water Pollution Committee, Mr. Wing and Mr. Ailes.
Councilmember Wing.
This is also the first of three readings.
First of three readings on temporary resolution 41-25. Temporary resolution 42-25.
A resolution to authorize the City of Lancaster to apply for funding from the Ohio Department of Development for CHIP program funds. This is through Economic Development Committee, Ms. Hoop and Mrs. Kreitz. Mrs. Kreitz, sorry.
Councilmember Hoop.
Yes, thank you. This is first of three readings.
First of three readings on temporary resolution 42-25. Temporary resolution 43-25.
A resolution to amend the certificate of appropriations with the county auditor, appropriate from the unencumbered balance, increase receipts, complete the fund transfer in the CDBG loan repay revolving account Fund 2075 and in the Community Development Block Grant Fund 2073 and declare an emergency. This is through Economic Development Committee, Mrs. Hoop and Mr. Wing.
Councilmember Hoop.
Thank you. This is first of three readings.
First of three readings on temporary resolution 43-25. Temporary Resolution 44-25.
A resolution to appropriate from the unencumbered balance, amend the certificate with the county auditor in the Cemetery Fund 2007 to authorize the Service Safety Director to purchase a replacement vehicle for use by the Cemetery Department Supervisor and to declare an emergency. This is through Public Works Committee, Ms. Teener and Mrs. Kreitz.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that council suspend its rules and waive the second and third reading of temporary resolution 4425, and I'm so sorry I went over it.
You're okay. You're all good. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and waive the second and third reading of temporary resolution 44-25. Any discussion?
I can wait.
Okay, thank you. Hearing no further discussion on the motion to suspend, please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjack?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Mrs. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Motion to suspend the rules and waive the second and third reading of temporary resolution 44-25 passes 10-0. Councilmember Teener.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 4425.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 44-25. Any discussion? Councilmember Teener.
Yes, we had a vehicle from the cemetery department, been in an accident. It was not our fault. We did get some insurance money from that. And it's really more economical at the age of the vehicle that was hit that we could buy a brand new one and we put the money towards the purchase of it, and it would be under warranty. And if we bought something that was older, there wouldn't be a warranty. We'd have to actually pay for a warranty. And I'm like one of those people that do not like to buy new vehicles constantly, but this actually is a better deal than getting a used vehicle.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjack?
Yes.
Mrs.
Yes.
Kreitz? Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Motion to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 44-25 passes 10-0. Temporary resolution 45-25.
A resolution to appropriate from the unencumbered balance in the General Fund 1001, increase receipts, appropriate from the unencumbered balance in the Health Insurance Management Fund 7022, and amend the certificate of appropriations with the county auditor. This is through Administrative Services Committee, Mr. Leuchtenberg and Mr. Bizjack.
Councilmember Leuchtenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is first of three readings.
First of three readings on temporary resolution 45-25. That concludes our reading of resolutions for this evening. We will now move on to the reading of ordinances, beginning with temporary ordinance 19-25.
An ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of notes in the maximum principal amount of $7 million in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying the cost of the renovations and rehabilitation of the City Hall building and otherwise improving the site, therefore, together with all necessary appurtenances thereto, and declaring an emergency. This is through Finance Committee, Mr. Wolfinger and Mr. Sully.
Councilmember Wolfinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary ordinance 19-25.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary ordinance 19-25. Any discussion? Councilmember Wolfinger.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This resolution, this ordinance is to work on the exterior primarily of City Hall, as well as replace an ancient and probably out of compliance elevator. I hate to guess how many years old that is. We've had a lot of deterioration of our sandstone, which is a porous material. The bell tower and the foundation. But in essence, we're protecting the skin of the building in order to preserve the building. It's over 100 years old, 120 some years old. And nothing is being done on the inside. But if we don't take care of the exterior, the whole building will create issues greater than this. And again, it's been a lot of discussion. Service Safety Director indicated that we'll be going out to bid in the very near future, and we are hopeful that the bids come in within the confines of the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Craig.
I just wanted to thank the administration, specifically the Service Safety Director, who has been very responsive to my multiple questions and emails on cost comparison and other options that we've considered. So thank you. Thank you. That's all.
Councilmember Teener.
I understand, I do history. I understand the buildings and that, you want to preserve history, but thinking this is kind of excessive. I think we should even go even more baby steps than this. This is a lot of money, and I'm just not comfortable with it at this time. I'm just not. And I haven't been. I remember, what was it, last year, whatever, when they got the architect. I voted no on that. That was a lot of money to put out there when we have a building and a building department and a zoning department that, could look at a lot of things, But anyway, I will be voting no. I just think it's too much at this time.
Thank you. Any further discussion from council? Councilmember Wolfinger.
I certainly appreciate your comments, and I agree with those comments, because there's a lot of money to spend. If we would replace City Hall, move it to another location, you're probably looking at $20 or $30 million. We need to function for City Hall. Again, if you've been on the inside of the building, there's a lot of deterioration with the plaster on the walls. It's one of those things that we cannot let it deteriorate. We need it as our home. So thank you for your comments, and they're well spoken. Thank you.
Any further discussion from council members? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjack?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Nope.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Temporary ordinance 19-25 passes 9-1. Temporary ordinance 20-25.
An ordinance to accept the annexation of 5.08 plus or minus acres in the Pleasant Township and to declare an emergency. This is through Economic Development Committee, Mrs. Hoop and Mrs. Kreitz.
Councilmember Hoop.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary ordinance 20-25.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary ordinance 20-25. Any further discussion, Councilmember?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This is just a final approval to annex the 5 acres out of Pleasant Township at the request of Blue Label Packaging.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjack?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
And Mr. Wing. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Got ahead of you.
Motion to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary ordinance 20-25 passes 10-0. Temporary ordinance 21-25.
An ordinance to amend the zoning map subject to passage of the annexation of 5.08 plus or minus acres in Pleasant Township and to declare an emergency. This is through Economic Development Committee, Mrs. Hoop and Mr. Wing.
Councilmember Hoop.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary ordinance 21-25.
I think we have to replace it with 21-25 star.
Oh, you're right, we do.
Okay.
I missed that.
Can I address that real quick, President
Sure,
Porter?
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sorry. So yes,
missed
when
that
we
one.
initially did the legislation, that was prior to the Planning Commission's public hearing on this zoning amendment, or this, the acceptance of this annexation parcel. So I apologize. Once we get that done and accept the annexation and then the zoning, we have to change it to reflect when the public hearings were held and to make sure that everything matches what Planning Commission allowed us to do. I will also say, after you do a motion to replace, I am going to ask you to table it for one meeting, because between the clerk and myself, we kind of got our wires crossed, and we do need to have a public hearing here at City Council. So we're going to schedule that for Council's next meeting on May 5th, and at which time, once it passes, it will be immediately effective. Thank you, sorry.
No problem.
So do we need
Motion to replace?
amend it first?
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
we can table it? Okay.
Yep, thank you.
All right, my turn.
Yep.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to replace temporary ordinance 21-25 with 21-25 star as given to the clerk prior
As
to this
provided to
meeting.
the clerk in writing prior to
Yes.
tonight's meeting. Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to replace temporary ordinance 21-25 with temporary ordinance 21-25 star as provided to the clerk in writing prior to tonight's meeting. Any further discussion? Yes, Treasurer. So,
This is coming out of left field. I'm going to lobby a softball here, Stephanie, lobby at the ball. Someone asked me on the way in here today, and to declare an emergency. I believe that means, so it immediately goes into effect once it passes versus the rule that states that you wait 30 days and then it goes into effect. Would you just confirm that to make sure that I said that correctly?
Yep, that's accurate. If the city has a proper public purpose, which is general health, safety, or welfare, we're allowed to declare an emergency so that the legislation becomes effective immediately.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yep.
thank you,
Totally
Treasurer.
saw it. No.
No, thank you, Treasurer Stoughton. We appreciate it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll on the motion to replace.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjack?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Sully?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Motion to replace passes 10-0. Councilmember Hoop.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to make a motion that council place on the table temporary ordinance 21-25 star.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place upon the table temporary ordinance 21-25 star. This is a non-debatable motion. Please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjack?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Sully?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Motion to table passes 10-0. Now move on to temporary ordinance 22-25.
An ordinance to amend Section 1339.13 of the codified ordinance of the City of Lancaster entitled Wireless Telecommunications. This is to Code Enforcement and Zoning Committee, Mr. Leuchtenberg and Mrs. Hoop.
Councilmember Leuchtenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that council pass and gross enter upon the written record ordinance temporarily numbered 22-25.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, gross, and enter upon the written record temporary ordinance 22-25. Any discussion, Councilmember Leuchtenberg?
Yes, this ordinance replaces a portion of the ordinance written years ago that instructed the city to maintain and regulate all wireless telecommunication towers. And since then, federal law has placed that responsibility on the FCC. And so we're simply rewriting that piece of the ordinance with this legislation.
Thank you. Any further discussion on temporary ordinance 22-25?
Mr. President, I'm going to have to abstain on this one because due to my current employment.
Thank you. Anything further? Please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizjack?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Temporary ordinance 22-25 passes 9-0 with one abstention. We will now move on to the second reading of ordinances, beginning with temporary ordinance 23-25.
An ordinance determining that the establishment of the Lancaster New Community Authority will be conducive to the public safety, convenience and welfare and is intended to result in the development of a new community and declaring the new community authority to be organized by a body, politic, and a corporate, defining the boundary of the new committee district and declaring emergency. This is through Economic Development Committee, Mrs. Hoop and Mr. Wing.
Councilmember Hoop.
Thank you. This is second of 3 readings.
Second of 3 readings on temporary ordinance 23-25. Temporary ordinance 24-25.
An ordinance to amend permanent ordinance 1-25, also known as the amended non-union pay ordinance, and to declare an emergency. This is through Administrative Services Committee, Mr. Leuchtenberg and Mr. Wolfinger.
Councilmember Leuchtenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to replace ordinance temporarily numbered 24-25, replacing it with ordinance 24-25 star, as given to the clerk in writing prior to tonight's meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on an ordinance, on a motion to replace temporary ordinance 24-25 with temporary ordinance 24-25 star as provided to the clerk prior to tonight's meeting. Any further discussion?
Yes, we discussed this earlier in the meeting, wherein Valida is only getting 1 additional person instead of 2.
Okay.
And
all right. Any further discussion? Yes.
I apologize, President Porter. I'm just seeing on the agenda where it indicates 3 readings, and I thought we were doing 2 readings to match the earlier piece that amended her down to 1 full-time employee, because that's what this is, the pay ordinance to reflect.
So do you want us to do a motion to waive the
To suspend and pass.
suspend and pass tonight? So we would do that after we do the, okay.
Thank you, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So any further discussion on the motion to replace? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizchak?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes. You're trying.
I know.
Motion to replace temporary ordinance 24-25 with temporary ordinance 24-25 star as provided to the clerk in writing prior to tonight's meeting passes 10-0. Councilmember Leuchtenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that council suspend its rules, waive the 3rd reading of ordinance temporarily numbered 24-25 star.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, or to suspend the rules and waive the 3rd reading of temporary ordinance 24-25 star. Any discussion on the motion to suspend? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizchak?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Motion to suspend rules and waive the 3rd reading of temporary ordinance 24-25 star passes 10-0. Councilmember Leuchtenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record ordinance temporarily numbered 24-25 star.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass and gross and enter upon the written record, temporary ordinance 24-25 star. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizchak?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Temporary ordinance 24-25 star passes 10-0. There are no first readings of ordinances this evening. We would now move to tabled legislation. Is there any action on tabled legislation this evening?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would, Councilmember Kreitz. Thank you.
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion that council remove from the table ordinance temporarily numbered 52-24.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to remove from the table temporary ordinance 52-24. This is a non-debatable motion. Please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mr. Bizchak?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Leuchtenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Motion to remove from the table temporary ordinance 52-24 passes 10-0. Councilmember Kreitz.
Thank you. Law Director Hall, I noticed that it's on its second reading. Any reason that we need to do anything? Can we just leave it on for the next, to have 3 readings?
Yes, although I'm trying to think if I thought we had 3 readings.
I think we put it on the table because we already had the two readings.
So if you're reading it tonight, then this is the 3rd reading, yes.
Okay.
So you can take action on it tonight now that it's removed from the table. But did the clerk actually read it? I didn't hear.
I didn't yet.
She hasn't
No,
read it yet.
okay. Yep, as soon as you read it, thanks.
I didn't need it. Okay.
Go ahead.
An ordinance to grant the South Central Power Company its successors and assigns a franchise for the right to acquire, construct, maintain, and operate in the streets, their affairs, alleys, bridges, and public places of the city of Lancaster, Ohio, and its successors. Lines for the transmission and distribution of electric energy to the city of Lancaster and the inhabitants thereof for light, heat, power, and other purposes, and for the transmission of the same within, through, or across said city of Lancaster, and to declare an emergency. This is through Law Committee, Mrs. Kreitz and Mr. Wolfinger.
Councilmember Kreitz.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I would like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record ordinance temporarily numbered 52-24.
Second.
We have a motion and second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary ordinance 52-24. Any discussion, Councilmember Kreitz?
Yes, just briefly, thank you. This is to comply with state law, and we must have an agreement in place with the service provider, and the current agreement with South Central Power has expired.
Thank you. Any further discussion from council members?
This is 2 years, right?
Councilmember Teener.
It's 2 years. We're extending it for 2 years.
The current version has 25.
This one's going to 25.
Yes, nobody made a motion to replace. That was requested at the last meeting, and it was not approved. So I'm assuming that Councilwoman Kreitz knew this was for 25 years, yes.
Correct. Because I was under the impression it was still 2, because that's what we were doing before.
No, it's never been 2 years. It's always been 25 to match what AEP has. At the last meeting, South Central Power asked me to put an amendment out for 2 years, but nobody apparently wanted to do that because it was not moved to be adopted.
Because I thought the first one was 5, and then it's up.
No.
No.
25. The last one was 50.
50 years.
And this
Well,
one was 25. Yeah, that's the difference.
Excuse me, I don't want to interrupt, but I just want to be clear. I am Kyle Kern, Vice President of Legal from South Central Power.
If you would come to the podium to address council at this time.
Thank you. I just want to be clear, we will not sign a 25-year agreement.
Okay. Thank you for that input.
Wait, that's why we requested the 2 years, and I'm happy to entertain any questions that anyone might have of why 2 years is more appropriate. That's what we requested. We will not sign a 25-year agreement, and therefore it will have no effect.
Councilmember Schoonover.
So you had sent out an email about changing what we had tabled, right? That everybody received. So if we wanted to adopt that, we would have asked to replace the current with basically the one that has changes that they requested. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just making sure that everybody knows that that was an option. That was the option. Okay.
Treasurer Stoughton.
Oh, that's the obvious question. What does that mean if they don't sign it? Yeah.
So there's a difference of legal opinion between the city and South Central Power, and they have previously threatened legal action against the city, so I'd really rather not go into all of the particulars on council floor. Happy to address that in an executive session if somebody would like to move to have one, but I won't be discussing the particulars here because, like I said, they have threatened legal action.
That's a misrepresentation.
Okay, we're not going to get into it. Ma'am, you had your opportunity. If you could sit down, we're going to proceed with business.
I understand, but I represent South Central Power, the cooperative.
I understand, and you've said that. Okay, if you'd please have your seat. I appreciate your attendance this evening. We right now have before us temporary ordinance 52-24. And is there any further discussion by council members?
Mr. President, I'm going to have to abstain on this one as well because of my current employment and business relationship.
Any further discussion by council member? Councilmember Schoonover.
I know that there's already a motion to pass. Are we sticking with that, or can we
Can I withdraw that?
withdraw?
You can
and-
move to amend the motion parliamentarily.
Or we withdraw and then consider an executive session. Unless everybody's totally cool with what we're doing.
That's a conversation for you to have out here. If you want to go into executive session, then you have the right to do that. I mean, I'm trying to think.
Am I allowed to make a motion to withdraw my motion?
Do you want to withdraw or do you want to amend? Do you know? Or do you want to have a conversation before you do either?
To withdraw it at this time, right?
You can, if you would like to. It's been moved and seconded.
I'm so confused.
I could call for question.
Did you have,
Call for
He's
question
calling the question,
for Robert's Rules of Order.
which means you have to take a vote.
It's been motion made and seconded.
okay, we have a motion and a second on the current to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary ordinance 52-24. We've had that called as a question, which means we do have to take a vote. Please call the roll.
Mr. Ailes?
No.
Mr. Ailes?
He said no.
I'm sorry. Mr. Bizjack?
No.
Mr. Kreitz? Mrs. Kreitz?
No.
Mrs. Hoop?
Yes.
Mr. Luftenberg?
No.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Ms. Teener?
Abstain.
Mr. Wing?
No.
And Mr. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Director Hall, did you keep tally as well? What was your tally?
The motion failed.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so temporary ordinance 52-24 did not pass by a vote of, I was counting and I lost.
3 to 2.
No, 5 to 2 with 2 abstentions.
Mm-hmm.
5
to 3.
5 to 3.
5 to 3 with 2 abstentions. Okay.
That was weird.
We'll now move on to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business before council this evening? Hearing none. We'll move to new business. Any new business before council this evening? We'll move to the announcement of scheduled meetings.
Next regular sessions of council, May 5th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in council chambers. This will include a public hearing for a new community authority and a public hearing for Blue Label. Also, May 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in council chambers for the next regular session.
Do we have any special scheduled meetings?
Well, I have none.
Move to the regularly scheduled committee meetings.
Economic Development Committee, April 24th at 7:30 a.m. at City Hall, 1897 Conference Room. Public Works Committee, May 9th at 7:30 a.m., City Hall, 1897 Conference Room. Water Pollution Control Service Committee, May 19th at 7:30 a.m., City Hall, 1897 Conference Room. Code Enforcement and Zoning Committee, May 22nd, rescheduled from last Friday at 7:30 a.m., City Hall, 1897 Conference Room. And then Law Committee, May 23rd at 7:30, City Hall, 1897 Conference Room.
go to the reading of bills.
I have MNCO for $88.89, and then again, I have MNCO for $53.94.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills.
Second?
A motion and second to pay the bills. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. There's no need for an executive session. I'd take a motion to adjourn.
I would like to make that motion. We adjourn.
Second?
A motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Please remember to sign your legislation this evening. Thank you.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Hi, I'm Karen Martin with After School Programs of Lancaster. We're here to provide programs and services to support educational, social, and cultural opportunities for our students. This month, we're thrilled that Buckeye Toyota and Buckeye Honda have reached out once again to offer their support through their Buckeye Cares program by making a generous donation with each car sold this month. Join me and many others in supporting local business, and you might just find yourself saying, "That's how I Buckeye."